strong. It doesn't have the best win rate, but that was on patch 2.2. We'll see if it's a little bit better for him on 2.3. Glaive gonna come through, and I'm actually interested in the Glaive pick because this is a pick that Cyclone banned 12 times last split and only played 3 times. So they did not really put much priority on playing this pick. Maybe now that they've switched things up, they want it more.
Yeah, great call, TSP. And I think FNATIC here probably going to take Gwen potentially, because Gwen is actually decent into Vox or Ringo here. Will probably be their best options. But I'm feeling that they might try the Gwen if they are update on the meta. So let's see how this draft is going to play out. I like the Adagio with Glaive, because that's going to be a weapon Glaive, I'm assuming, with an Adagio support, which will allow Glaive to jump in, put someone out of position, and get
So
the
are you
heal
then
and
expecting
etc.
it to be a Crystal Vox?
No.
You'd expect like Aftershock Glaive or something?
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So talking about FNATIC again for a second though, and sort of forecasting their pick, if they went for, well, they do go for the Gwen, how is this composition going to pan out as a whole? What's the game plan here for them?
Yeah, so FNATIC, they once they get Tenchibo on Gwen, they're going to push the early game advantage. Samuel gets Frostburn
All
once.
going down around this Elder Trio in the middle, but it's a very strong composition for FNATIC early on. Samuel actually pretty strong at level 1. So I think Cyclone going to have to potentially be a bit careful.
They want to go for this. Radhar's gone straight on in, but can he sustain? No, he's just going to get taken on down. First blood straight over to FNATIC, and they're not done yet as Techno JJ going to lead the charge on this Gwen. Looking for more. He's got that buckshot available in 4 seconds, but right now they're just trying to steal away the creep, steal away the jungle, and they will do so successfully. There's the slow. FNATIC diving in forward. They got the speed from the Imperial Sigil, but here comes Radhar. He's back on up. The death timers, they are non-existent at this time. Can FNATIC correct? They've got a great composition to do so. Waldemar will be taken on down. Another kill goes FNATIC's way. Radhar in trouble. He's going to have to look to afterburn away. Doesn't have it available, unfortunately. But wow, what a strong start for FNATIC.
Yeah, but they had a really good level 1 composition. You've got Gwen, excellent at level 1 with the buckshot and her heroic perk. Palmatorio on Samuel, one of the best early game junglers due to the corrupted genius and how much damage you can put out with Malice and Verdict. And the problem with a Glaive is, well,
no.
there you go. It's once the afterburn's down, it's like 20 seconds cooldown, although JJ could be caught up.
He's not. He's got his team to back up, and actually they're just going to turn straight onto Radhar here. Unfortunately, it's only net 2 left, but if one more auto attack would secure the kill, and Palmatoro, he's just knocking down Bastion, the new player for Cyclone, or he's going to be taken on down as well. A solid 3-0 start. Everyone from Cyclone sharing the brunt of the deaths there, and FNATIC, wow. They could have hoped for a better start. 1,500 gold! No, just 1,000 at level 1. Techno JJ, though, it's not done yet, Scoundrel. You're not going to get a word in today, but Waldemar, you might just fit a bit of more you can chew. This new Cyclone roster, it's savage, but FNATIC are just eating it up.
Yeah, and you say funny thing about Bastion, it actually feels like this is a return for Bastion, because the origins of the Cyclone roster kind of come from Snow Avalanche, and that's where Bastion and Voldemar obviously both have spent time on the Snow organizations, so this is kind of almost, for me, it feels like a return for Bastion. But for FNATIC, I mean, for me, why would Cyclone try and fight consistently like that? You know, you have a very low HP Glaive, the afterburn cooldown is so high. If you don't get an afterburn into a Gift of Fire, which is kind of the combo I guess you're looking for, you actually just have to kind of disengage. But FNATIC, they had a great level 1, they pushed the issue. Lyra's heal, obviously very strong, and the early game for both the movement speed and the amount of heal that it gives you. So, I don't know, I think FNATIC used their advantage. They had that very strong early composition. I just think Cyclone may be overstepped. I don't think they could beat them at this stage in the game. They've given themselves a bit of a hill to climb to get back in.
Speak of a heal, it's a 2,000 gold deficit at this 3-minute mark for FNATIC. You know, these guys have been in London, they've been boot camping as a team at the FNATIC bunker, which, you know, you guys can go check out if you want on the 6th of May. Halcyon gatherings going on in London. Should be a lot of fun. But, you know, these guys have been boot camping in a house together and just playing with each other, and you can see it starting to reflect. These guys, they seem to be on the same page. The early game, well, they just nailed it. Now they've got this huge gold swing in their advantage, and really Cyclone, they're going to be desperate to try and bring themselves back in.
Yeah, I think FNATIC played this well just because, you know, they abused the fact that realistically, at this early point in the game, there's very little that Cyclone could do to duel them. Realistically, the combo that Cyclone had is Afterburn into range of Gift of Fire, land those big basic attacks, and actually burn someone down. But FNATIC had the range advantage, they had the power advantage, and they had that healing advantage. You know, realistically, you'd say that maybe Lyra's heal at level 1 is a little bit more versatile than Adagio's heal because of the movement speed bonus and sort of, you know, applying it to multiple members. So I think FNATIC just abused the fact that they had a very strong early jungle in the form of this Samuel. And actually, Cyclone, I think, just took a bad fight, and FNATIC are really capitalizing on it right now, putting pressure onto this turret. They've sieged almost half HP at 4 minutes 13 to the game. You can see the work that Palmatoro is doing. He's not even going back to his own jungle to farm right now, Dowsey. He is far more interested in landing Malice and Verdicts and Corrupted Genius and giving them time to take this structure down.
Yeah, you're going to see Techno JJ build towards that tension bow. Has been popularized here in 2.3 as a great starting item for Gwen because it gives you so much early game presence. And currently, FNATIC, well, they've got the early game wrapped up. Radha has to walk away. He doesn't even get the chance. Sent back to base in a swift motion there by Palmatoro. It looks like this turret's going to go down any second as FNATIC take the killing blow. Netolet's tanking it up. Will go very low for his efforts, but he survives just about. At 5 minutes, FNATIC with a 3,000 gold lead.
This has been a 3-man lane for the last 2.5 minutes, and FNATIC had one very clear goal in mind, and that was utilize that range advantage that they had and siege onto that structure, siege onto that turret with that Malice and Verdict, and obviously with the buckshot wherever they could. And like you said, Tension Bow coming out on Gwen. A lot of people might be thinking, why Tension Bow? Well, it got a slight buff in the last update. The flat armor pierce kind of went up, and like you said, Dowsey is very good combining with her passive, which scales off weapon power, to just have a big, hard-hitting blow right at the start. Very good at bursting squishy targets, very good at dealing with something like a Vox as well. So don't be surprised to see her now follow this up with a Sorrow Blade. And often you might actually see her then go Breaking Point as her last item, which is something a little bit interesting. But realistically with Gwen, you want to get a lot of big damage down with your first basic attack, and that's what she can do with this Tension Bow going into a Sorrow Blade.
I've been really impressed by Palmatoro so far at Scoundrel. You know, he has spent so much time in the lane here, but look at the CS, double that of Radha at 30 to 15. And Techno JJ, well, he may just be even with Oldemar, a slight lead. But the FNATIC guys are just continuously putting the pressure on. At 6.5, they're going to look to take this Crystal Sentry away. Radha, he's trying to rotate to give it a bit of presence, but it's going to be either Cyclone looking for a flank, looking for a fight. Yeah, they are. They're going to go straight on in. This is risky, but they're on to Palmatoro. He's going very low. Oblivion going to stop them from charging forward. FNATIC, they have the space, but they're not going to continue the fight. They just decide to disengage. Cyclone, they saw a window of opportunity, but they weren't able to execute.
The problem is you've got kind of confronting or sort of a polar opposite ideas. You want to have this Glaive setting up fights, but you don't want to set up fights against this FNATIC squad right now. They are going to potentially lose out on this gold mine because the Storm Crown is there for Radha that will allow him to take it very quickly. They did try to get a steal there, but it was a decent pickup of payout. But then you have this this Vox who, Vox takes a little while to hit a big, hard-hitting weapon power build. Just going with the Sorrow Blade first, so, obviously we're seeing the stray away from the Breaking Point build with the Double Tyrant's monocle that we often used to see, but this kind of gives him a little bit more early game, but because of Vox's range, he needs to get those points in his A ability to be able to kite. The Breaking Point that you build into the build often gives him the ability to stack up during a team fight and then turn around when he needs to. So the problem with Vox is just a regular weapon power carry with just a Sorrow Blade is that range disadvantages makes him pretty hard to make work in the early game.
Yeah, no, they are just storming ahead, mentioned that they've been boot camping, but FNATIC, they look like an entirely new roster. They were already fairly strong up there in the rosters, have made their deep runs, but right now, they're just executing so well. They need to keep the presence up, because Cyclone, they would love to come back into this matchup. But even if they do Scoundrel, yes, Fox has great late game, but so does Samuel. I would be very surprised if Cyclone could claw themselves into this game.
Yeah, Samuel's got a decent late game. It will potentially struggle against the cooldown Glaive if it gets that far, because obviously with cooldown Glaive, particularly good against fairly mobile targets because he can consistently afterburn in a team fight. You would always pick CP Glaive sometimes into things like Vox because obviously they're going to be using this Sonic Zoom to dash around and kite, but then Glaive every 6 seconds or so is going to afterburn. And reposition you over and over again. So it's a good way of repositioning highly mobile targets. And you would often consider Samuel as a fairly highly mobile target because of the sort of the weird bursted movement speed that he gets from his Malice and Verdict. And obviously pretty good against Gwen as well. Once you stop that first one from the skedaddle, you can then follow it up again, and she obviously won't have that on cooldown. So it's about getting to that position in the game right now for Cyclone. But FNATIC are starving them. They are literally wringing out every ounce of gold on that Cyclone side of the map. And you talked about the CS. Now it's almost 3 times for Palmatoro. It's very difficult, I think, for Radha right now.
Yeah, not only that, you know, FNATIC, they're investing gold into infusion, so if a fight do break out, not only are they ahead with their power, but they'll be even more so. And they've found Bastion, they're going to look for the kill here as the Aces High hits onto Radha. Bright Bulwark to make sure he can't re-engage. That's going to be them charging on down the lane. They don't find a kill, but what they do here at Scoundrel, yes, I said do, they're going to look to try and find a turret for themselves.
Yeah, they are going to try and push on to this next structure. They have the minions there. The shield has dropped. This should be an easy siege for FNATIC, and their game plan has worked out really well. A lot of people sometimes struggle with making a tension bow work for the Gwen, you know, finding the right opportunity. It looks like Cyclone are going to try and go for a fight, but oh my word, Radha.
So much damage is coming straight on out of Techno, JJ, Palmatoro as they group up, start laying down the hurt. They have to be careful here, FNATIC. You can see them kind of making a bit of a dance in this corridor because this is exactly where Vox wants to fight. This is exactly where the Glaive wants to fight so he can stun you into a wall. But FNATIC will fall back. They're going to get more vision for themselves. 5 scout traps invested there from net to let. They're going to start laying down the hurt. Even Harvest here for Palmatoro. He's going to heal straight on up, especially with the Drifting Dark. And Cyclone, well, they're going to get caught in a triple buckshot. There's the Oblivion. That's going to put Radha asleep. And Cyclone are just going to get annihilated. Bastion tries to buy the space, but he's going to lose his life. 10-50 and another Crystal Sentry for FNATIC. They are up by so much gold right now. 6,000, and they can take this gold miner to increase it even more.
Look at the damage Techno JJ does with this build. Obviously now picking up the attack speed at the end, probably working towards a breaking point with that. It's insane how much the heroic perk from Gwen can do when she hits a squishy target. And look, you know, if you get one basic attack on Voldemar, he has got no investment into armor. And there's only a light armor on Radha. That is going to be hurting right now. Techno JJ will be doing some serious work on this Gwen. As well as the fact, because, you know, the rest of the Cyclone roster is so starved of gold right now, they are finding it very difficult to even know where to itemize defensively. You know, are they worried about Palmatoro, who has now got almost 3 CP items, or are they more worried about Techno JJ? It's such a difficult decision-making process for them. And it's all because FNATIC have starved them from that gold to be even able to make that decision. Waldemar's saying, I need more damage. He's going to go for an infusion here. And I think I kind of agree with him. Like, I think that the ethos here should be try and burst quicker than you can get burst. But you're going up against people who have invested in defense. There's a coat of plates for Techno JJ who gets knocked out.
Yeah, that's going to be Techno JJ knocked straight into Waldemar. Waldemar's trying to find the kill. Aces High lands onto Radha. The Oblivion going to buy space as Radha has to disengage without using his Afterburn. The Aftershock just completed there. It was a bit of a spike in damage for Cyclone, but once more, FNATIC, they just play their game so well. They go, right, well, you got us caught out. You got us with a bit of an item power spike for you, so we just disengage. We got a Lyra. We're going to heal on up, and next time you try and fight us, we'll be ready.
So we are just finding out as we go on a little bit more about the Cyclone roster, and you know, they've had Bashin come in as a sub here. I think PT Lamb is unavailable to play this particular week, so I don't think it's a direct sub out for PT Lamb, but obviously I think the Cyclone roster have had experience with Bashin. They know what kind of skill level that he's got, and they've said actually we think that it was worth the risk to put him in the roster because of the raw skill that we think that he has as a player. Hasn't worked out for them so far, Dalsy, though. Definitely struggled. They're going to try and go in again, Radha, but to no avail right now. Even though he's got that 2-item spike, they're taking so much damage.
Yeah, Radha, he only has tier 1 armor, tier 1 shielding, and so FNATIC, they're just able to just poop all over him. It's just so much damage coming out, and Waldemar, he's trying to be aggressive here, but what can
Dalsy.
he do?
I'll remember that one forever. I'm just going to... Did you say poop all over him?
I may have done. I said doo-doo and poop. There's a bit of a theme. A bit of a theme appearing here at Scoundrel.
I'm going to remember that descriptive language for when I'm doing Vainglory and I'm beating someone, which doesn't happen very often, and I'm going to say I'm pooping.
It's because you have me on your team.
You're a good Idris.
I appreciate
Not a good
it.
CP
It's going to be.
job, but a good Idris.
We won't talk about our Castle Trio games at Scoundrel. Not yet. Not until we're in the VGL and fighting for that challenge battles at the end of the split. Well, Radha, he's trying his best to get some farm for himself. He will successfully take away that Treant, but this turret is also going to be taken away by FNATIC. Aces High, it connects onto Radha. They're looking for a fight here, Cyclone, and they may have just found the damage. No, Waldemar gets bursted. That's going to be Bashin falling as well, as Net2Let aggresses onto Radha. Won't be able to stop him from afterburning, but they got themselves 2 kills there at Scoundrel. Once more, they've broken the base at 14 minutes, and 9-0 standing right now, and almost that 10,000 gold lead as well.
absolutely steamrollering Cyclone right now. FNATIC have found their mojo. When this roster came together, for the start of the split, last split, we said, oh, this is going to be a good roster. And I'll be honest, it was disappointing from time to time. Some of the plays, some of the games were slightly disappointing, I think, given the hype that we generated for them. But FNATIC have said, split 2, starting, obviously the live championships are on our home turf. There is absolutely no way we are not making it to those live finals, and they are playing like they mean it.
Certainly are. You know, they're currently sitting in 5th position on the standings, but with a win over Cyclone, they progress over into day 2. Cyclone, who's sitting first in the standings, will absolutely lose their place in first. They may even drop down to 3rd, even 4th, depending on how the games plays out. So a huge game for Cyclone, as they're going to be losing so much positional advantage. And FNATIC, well, they're going to just start jumping, leapfrogging their way up, especially if they can make it to the finals. So great play so far from FNATIC. You can see that this boot camp has done wonders for them. And Cyclone bringing Bastion into the roster, well, maybe it's just cold feet. Maybe it's just because it's new. They haven't been able to scrim properly. You know, I did hear some rumblings about perhaps Bastion not having the ability to voice comm during games, but maybe that's been fixed now. We'll have to see as this Kraken starting to up, but FNATIC going to disengage it. Cyclone here, a huge spike of damage, but that's going to be Techno JJ knocked straight into the fight. He gets away, Aces High disengages, and a pause. Constantly bringing this Samuel, this Gwen, perhaps the Lyra. Sometimes they go with an Adagio or an Arden, depending on what they're feeling like. But FNATIC, they've brought it here into EU, and we can see it on our screens. I don't think the viewers, unfortunately, can see it on their screens right now. But Cyclone, they've got a fountain about to hit them, but everyone is so low so far. Radha has like 200 HP, Waldemar has just over 200 HP. Pretty insane.
We're actually into the game, I believe, on my screen, and it looks like FNATIC have just taken down a Vein Crystal turret, so they've just taken that first turret from the Vein Crystal, and Kraken is available for them. They absolutely wiped the floor with Cyclone once they came back in. Bastion and Radha went down, and they chased the Voldemar into the base. But it's just a burst. I mean, Gwen's doing like 400, 500 damage with her heroic perk basic attacks. And obviously then Palmatoro is providing this element of control to allow Gwen to consistently find her targets and reset those basic attacks. Obviously there is a cooldown for her big hitting basic attack. And what Palmatoro is providing is this big team fight control element where he slows the entire team down with Malice and Verdicts, and then Techno JJ basically for free is landing basic attacks on the targets that he needs to. But it looks like Cyclone want to fight. Dowsy, are you in?
I am, and this is going to be huge for Cyclone, but they've lost Waldemar straight off the back, and Techno JJ is still alive. 805, make that 905 as he finds another. Bastion, will he go down? He will for the triple kill. A solid 10-0-5, 4-0-10, 1-0-13. It's perfect, Scoundrel, out of FNATIC, as they're going to take this victory, this first game over Cyclone, with a huge 15-0, a huge 10k gold lead, a solid pre-18 match.
You see the charms coming through from FNATIC. Very happy with the win there, and I gotta be honest, I love these additions of charms to Vainglory. Definitely makes winning that much easier when you do it, and obviously makes losing that much saltier when your opponent does. But I mean, let's look at exactly what went wrong for Cyclone here, and I think it all happened at level 1. You had a composition that doesn't particularly duel well at level 1 compared to what FNATIC have brought to the table. You still tried to go offensive with the Afterburn.